What's going on, guys? Welcome to the latest episode of Rivercity 93, brought to you by Ruffneck Scarves, Icarus FC, and of course, for the culture. This is your host, as always, Elliot Barr, and is joining me is one man that made the trip all the way from South Georgia to Raleigh. It only came back with 1 point. It's Mr. Matt Myers. How are you doing, sir?
That ain't my fault. Yeah. My road trip record when I fly solo, team gets results, is when the rest of y'all fools come with me that doesn't go well.
So you saying from now on, you're the only one that's allowed to go on road games. Got you.
Yeah, but it's more fun with other people there too. So it's really a tough call.
And is also joining me is a guy that audio all of a sudden stopped working, and we haven't won a game since. It's Mr. Chenier Durant II. How are you doing, bud?
So we blaming me?
I'm just saying, when the audio was crap, we was winning games.
Yeah, I mean, let's not go that far.
Oh man. Oh.
So yeah. So this past week we had a double week. As you know, we played North Carolina. That result went 4-0, and then we had South Georgia, which was a 2-2 comeback on this past Saturday. Instead of going by goal, because we'll be here for an hour plus, I think it's better if we just talk about each game as it's entirely, some things that might have stuck out to us and things that we, need to change going forward because we are at the halfway point. And also, this is our mid-season review podcast. So, yay to that. So let's start off with this. Let's start off with the North Carolina game, guys. What were some of your biggest takeaways in that game, and what were some things, if positive, because I don't think we should just do an all smash everything to hell podcast, but what are some positives, if any, you could take away from that game?
To be honest with you, this game was sloppy. Basically, in terms of ball control with the kickers, sloppy. And also defensively, with regards to marking, sloppy. From the first goal, Cristo is left wide open because I'm not sure who Ivan was supposed to be marking, but he just lets Cristo just waltz into our six and step back out to receive that cross and head it in. Cole is caught in no man's land because he's already marking a player and has to scramble away from the player he's marking to see if he could maybe make a play on the ball. The second goal, Ivan gets turned way too easily in the midfield, and Cristo looks up and sees a wide open goal, and he says, "I'm going to chip the keeper," and he does.
Well, I would not classify that as him getting turned there. Yeah, he didn't. Yeah, he was able to turn, but it's not like he turned and accelerated past him. He brought the ball down, turned 90 degrees, and just launched from midfield.
But yeah, I know, but in that situation, Ivan needs to be giving him a little more. He needs to be giving him a little more trouble. Because at the end of the day, that ball gets lobbed into him, into Cristo. And for him to receive that ball and be able to turn when Ivan is literally right on his back, I don't think he should be able to turn there.
I mean, I still think the bigger question is what's going on, further back, because it's not like Ivan and Cristo were the last guys. There was, I think it was, Chrysler further back. And then Akira is, outside his box, even though there's another defender between him and, the ball it's not in midfield either. It's at the, kind of the, bottom of the circle or something. Where's he at? Like that. I mean, I get what you're saying with Ivan, but I feel like that's a play you see 50 times a game where, a center forward can be able to bring the ball down, turn 90 degrees or something. And yeah, I mean, could the defender do something more? Sure. But pinning the actual goal on him, we can pin a lot of stuff on Ivan later on in the game. That's not it.
Yeah, the rugby tackle.
Look, I just want to say, man, Washington football training camp is coming up soon. Ivan might want to try out for free safety. He might actually, might make the team. Just want to say.
Good tackle, right?
Yeah. Hey, look, he stopped right at the goal line.
Yeah.
And it was perfect form. Like, if there's any positive, that was perfect form. That man wrapped up, turned to the side. As a football coach, I cannot be mad. You teach that's good form. Wrong football though, but it was good form.
Wrong time too.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think even leading up to that red card, it was literally just a bunch of sloppy play in the midfield. We lose the ball, and now Ivan has to chase.
Oh, there wasn't even a midfield at that point in the game.
Exactly.
Darren just thrown every attacking player out there and left, Ivan and Zaka and Cole back there to figure it out.
Yeah. But I do want to ask you guys, to the letter of the law, a red card in that situation was the red card of preventing a goal scoring opportunity, or was it just from the fact that he literally rugby tackled him?
I think it's from a goal scoring opportunity.
Yeah.
And and the tackle itself.
Yeah, dude, he was clear in.
Yeah, like if you go back like a minute or two before that,
if you look carefully, Mumbai is almost level with Ivan at the time of that tackle.
Keyword there's almost.
Yeah, I mean, I know, but the difference is Ivan is wrapped up in a struggle with who was it, Cohen or Christo?
Christo.
It was Christo.
Yeah.
So is wrapped up in a tussle with Christo. That would definitely slow Christo down, and Mumbai is running free. And Mumbai is not exactly your Ford Pinto. So is there an argument that Mumbai maybe could have caught up to the play if Ivan was left for dead?
But if you're a referee, you can't make those presumptions. You can only go off of what you see.
Yeah. And also, it's like the way how the tackle happened, it's gonna happen. And plus that AR on that side, like another thing to note, that ref on that side was not good. Like, if you go back and look at the first half, Alex was on, I think, like 2 times called him on. They missed the elbow that Emmy got. It was not a real ref game.
Anyway, to get back to the positive, thing with this game, so that we can move on and never talk about this game again. Olex, created a ton of chances in that game, mostly by himself. He was pretty much the only one causing any kind of problems, looking any kind of threat throughout the entire game. The other positive, academy kid Damian Gallegos, got a 10-minute run out. So didn't really impact the game much while I was out there. It was nice to see that pipeline continuing to grow and young guys getting some chances.
Yeah, and Mumbai came back as well, so it's good to see he is healthy.
All right. So moving on.
Nothing else to say about this game.
But before we do go, it's one good thing to see that even though, yes, it did lead to a red card, but the fact that coming back from injury in that situation late in the game, Mumbai is still able to almost keep pace with that battle in terms of his pace. That lets me know that he's fully healed, and that we will probably see a little bit more of him. And it won't just be like, we just put him in to let you guys know that he's still a part of the team, but he's still in bubble wrap, So I'm glad that seeing him out there, he looked healthy, he looked fit, he looked like a player who's ready to just continue on with the season.
Yeah. So moving on, game that happened on Saturday, South Georgia, 2-2. It was a little bit of controversy in the first minute. Well, 20 seconds? I don't really say it's controversy. It was a nailed-on pen.
Yeah,
but Richmond did battle back to get a 2-2 draw. So I want to get your guys' feelings on this game, how you guys felt about it.
So I was there at the game. Not much to that place. Think about like the high school football stadiums around here. Shrink it down in size a bit. It's like when you're on the when you watch on ESPN Plus, you see all those little temporary stands on the other side. Those are clearly carted in. So the camera side, there is a permanent stand there, but it's like 7 rows deep, so it's not very big in any way. Makes it for a nice kind of tight field to the entire stadium. You could hear everything that both benches were saying. That was cool. But yeah, that game started rough, right? And for me, the worst part about it, and I'm somebody who does not like this style of play to begin with, but Luke was clear and free out of the penalty area, moving the ball upfield, square pass. I think it was to Victor. Okay, fine. He passes it a little bit back to Zaka. Okay, fine, whatever. All the way back then to Jalen. Not ideal, but still plenty of time. And then I don't know what it was about this week, but our rock solid center backs both had just the biggest brain farts you can imagine in this space of 3 days. And he takes too long on the ball and just decides, all right, well, Vaughn had a nice tackle. Let me see if I can tackle as well. He only got an arm tackle in, so not quite, maybe ready for NFL training camp the same way. But when you give away such an obvious, penalty a minute into the game, not a great feeling.
No, not at all. And also is like, so before we talk about this goal anymore, happened. This lineup, when I first saw it, this is my biggest gripe with Darren right now in this very moment. It's just lineup wise. And I hate this because I predicted this at the start of the year about how I wanted to see Darren play a 4-4-2 diamond. And this man is living or dying by it. Like he is all in on this diamond. But then also, like, I understand Avon's out, but I don't understand the reasoning of putting Calvo in that center back spot. And he's never really, from what I can tell, he's never played center back. I understand you want Luke in there because Luke can get up the field a little bit more. But Ani, like, the past 3 or 4 games has been a defensive liability. Like, one-on-one defending, I don't feel comfortable in it because, and I was mentioning to you, Matt, before we started recording about, when you go back and watch Calvo defend, he has like this tick about the way how he shapes up. It is like one foot in front and then the other foot is like kind of sideways so he can like pivot or turn either way. But while he's doing that, he's like backing up from the defender. If you go look at the North Carolina game and the goals that Calvo's involved of, it's the same thing. Like he gives 5 yards of space before like he decides like, oh, I want to close down. And he doesn't immediately already do that. And then as a center back spot, you can't do that.
Let me ask you this then. You weren't crazy about Calvo moving inside and you're not crazy about Ani. Who did you want in there with Jalen?
No, Ani, I was fine. Like, because Ani's a natural center back.
Okay, so you just wanted the Twin Towers from the start.
Yeah, I naturally thought like that would have been the natural thing to do, instead of having 3 fullbacks and a center back. Because in that case, then maybe like, because what I saw, I think we were texting about it, I think I really thought it was going to be 3 in the back because I just saw Cole, Calvo, and Jalen. I was just like, all right, well, I guess he's going 3 in the back because Luke is probably going to play wing back and Maddie or someone else, but no, it's 4-4-2 down. And I think Darren kind of got bailed out, and I hate to say this because Luke got injured. I think he got bailed out.
I don't know if I go that far with that because it's not like he changed his shape or anything. Just move Calvo back to right back and put Ani in center back. You still had, Vignoles and Victor kind of playing kind of a narrow, wide midfield type roles.
Yeah.
Also, I thought Luke was playing well until he got hurt.
He was getting up and down. If you're gonna put Luke out there, I don't think you need Calvo. I think at this point, either you gotta sit Calvo for a little bit to allow him to, get better. I'm not saying Calvo's a bad player or anything like that. I just think like you can tell he's overthinking to the point. And Shanair, you can help me out on this. Like when a player like overthinks, you can see like they take the safe option and instead of like reacting. Being proactive, they're closing down and trying to force the attacker to go like inside to the help or outside to like force them down the lane,
Yeah, defensively, you want to keep it simple, right? You want to keep it to a point where you know exactly what you're doing, and you're doing 3, 4, 5 things, and that's it. If you look at some of the greatest defenders, you look at Yambi. There was nothing flashy about Yambi. Yambi went out there and he dominated because he did the simple things well. And I think as a defender, the reason why I feel that center back is actually the most difficult position in the game is because you have to think simple and you should not overthink. While the game of soccer itself, it almost tempts you to overthink. So to be able to fight that and just think simply is what makes a center back job so difficult. Mm-hmm. So in this case, I mean, when you've got someone who's overthinking on the field, they'll take a half second to do something, or they'll I don't know, make the wrong decision in a specific moment because they overthought what the attacker was going to do, what the player trying to win the ball with them was going to do. They overthought that. So it's one of those difficult situations to deal with.
Yeah. I'm going to ask you guys this question next. What is it about this team? And this is a big concern. Like I've been tweeting about it, about the defensive miscommunications we've seen on a lot of these goals. Because the second goal about South Georgia, you saw a lot of guys they were trying to put out fires instead of just having a cool, calm, and collected head. And like, that's a play that easily could have got sorted out. But it's like, if you're rushing, that's an easy goal you can give up because you're trying to be the one to cut out the fire before the next person and the next person, you know? What is it about this team that we've seen, like, the miscommunication in the defensive part of the team? Do you think that's just the back four, or do you think it stems more from, like, how the midfield is playing as well in the attack?
I think there's pieces of all of it. I think it might have been the Luke interview where he touched upon this, that last year, Kyle was a really vocal leader in the back, and that's not really what Yvonne is. It's not really what Jalen is anyway. So I wonder if there's a little bit of that missing, as well. Again, being at the game, I was able to hear or not hear some things, and I heard Darren yelled at here early on. Here, I need to hear you more this game. So working on getting more of that verbal communication and getting things sorted out that way, because I mean, if you look at that team that was out there by the end of it, 3 out of the 4 opening day starting defenders weren't on the field. Right, that Jalen was the only one still out there after Luke went down. So there's a lot of changing pieces through there. I think part of it is the changing midfield shape as well. Some, I don't know if it's guys just not going in hard enough. They're not used to the diamond as opposed to the kind of the 3 midfield that we'd been using earlier on the year when the defense is a little more solid overall. But yeah, there's a lot more breakdowns. I mean, and it wasn't even that second goal. I mean, think about even in the first half, there was that time that Kira went out there and tried to chest the ball and cleared it and got pure lucky that the ball went wide instead of straight into his goal for another embarrassing goal this week.
Now that one I would have blamed 100% on him. Not the North Carolina one. That one 100% I would have blamed on him.
Yeah, that was terrible.
Yeah, that was bad. But I think that might have answered my other thing that I have a little bit of frustration with is also like the defensive transition, because a lot of this. So right before the first North Carolina game, this team was very conservative. We weren't really going for possession. We were really like sitting in deep. And then like that North Carolina game, you see this team trying to be more expansive, trying to move more off the field. Ever since that, we've had more possession. We've had more shots on goal. We've created chances, not finished chances. We created more chances. But it's like we've been very more susceptible to the counterattack. And do you think that's let me put it this way. Do you think that's a result of Darren changing the style of how this team is playing? Or do you think that's effect of so many key pieces missing out, like Zaka missing a game here, or Iantley being out, or Monty being out, where you will have those normal starters, Do you think it is a result of that? What you guys think?
I think what we're dealing with here is probably one thing that you did bring up, Matt, was the difference between Chrysler and Yvonne and Kyle last year. There is a very, very big importance of vocal communication. Either your center backs or your goalkeeper need to be talking constantly, directing traffic, telling everyone where they need to be, what they need to do. First reason is because they see more of the field than everyone else. But the most important reason is, as a center back or as a goalkeeper, you have more of the capability of remaining focused if you have to direct traffic. So now you're talking, Elliot, about a situation now where we have more possession and we're more susceptible to the counterattack. Well, if we have two center backs that are not vocal and we're going through spells of possession where their minds can slip into disinterest and distraction of, oh, maybe I should be in this position and maybe receive a back pass and maybe this can happen and maybe that can happen and maybe we can push forward this way. You're forgetting that you need to be marking the center forward. You get easily caught on the counter if no one is constantly saying, you step here, you drop back, make sure you watch your man. All of those types of things are things that keep you focused as a player. So this ties in hand with what both of you, Matt and Elliot, have said with regards to those two not being as vocal as Kyle and us all of a sudden now starting to have a little bit more possession and having more spells of possession.
I mean that's really some of it too, but the whole thing is this is a team, and if the team's going to fall apart because there's an injury or two, I mean, Ian's been out basically all year, right? They should have been able to figure out a way by now to be able to account for that. If one guy goes, like Vaughn goes out this game, one guy going out shouldn't make it be a house of cards. I don't think. That's the whole idea, is why you have reserves, why you have a bench. It's the next man up should be able to step in and do the job, as well. So I don't, we're not at training. I don't know what's going on there, but there seems to be some level of disconnect. And even last year, Darren rode his first choice hard, and we didn't see too many changes ever throughout the year. So I don't know.
Just real quick, I just want to ask you guys' opinion on this. Do you think there's any way how to necessarily coach that into a team, like to get them to be more vocal? Because I'm once again, like, I don't have the perfect solution, but I want to hear you guys' opinion. Like, are there ways to get about it? Because what we've heard from players like Luke, like Matt, like Akira, and it's not hard. Like, as fans, you know who are the vocal guys, who are the guys that are going to yell, cuss out someone, or overly talk, and you don't normally see that out of Yvonne, out of Akira, Jalen. Maybe it's a little bit more talkative, but not as much. Is there anything that Darren can do to help that, like to increase the communication, or do you think it's just a thing that, like Matt, you were saying, like, one, this team just needs to get healthier, and two, they just need to play better?
Gotcha.
Yeah. Well, firstly, that's very hard to coach into someone who's a full-fledged adult and has been playing professionally. That's very hard to coach someone who has been their entire playing career the silent leader to be the vocal leader. So that's very difficult. But touching on one thing you said, Matt, with regard to Ian, it's even more telling the fact that this is the second year in a row that this has happened, and it feels like we did not learn from it the first time around. This is the second time that we've lost Ian for the remainder of the season. This time it was just earlier in the season, and it's unfortunate for Iantley. It's unfortunate that he's caught this recurring injury a second time around, but has there been enough focus in having a contingency plan for that? I mean, we started off the season with Devontae still injured. We started off the season with an Iantley returning from injury. There should have been a plan B already set up, and I feel that the plan B has been a little too fragile, especially from this being the second time getting struck.
I mean, in fairness on that one, he signed 3 right backs. He had Iantley, he had Devontae, he had Calvo. So
but Devontae was still injured and still wasn't game fit.
Well, sure, but I'm just saying, he had backups on the roster. It's not a matter of if you went Ian or bust on the roster from the start on that one. So I'm not going to kill him on that one. I do agree with you on you can't really teach the vocal leadership piece of everything. It's your personality is kind of ingrained in who you are. If you're introverted, extroverted, all that, like somebody can step it up in a moment if they know they need to, but it's about coming naturally to yourself. What's your basic instincts? Like when we're in the stands, my basic instinct is never to be the one to actually start up a chant or a song or whatever. Like that's just not who I am. I'm a lot more quiet and reserved in person. I'll hop in on it, but I'm not like one of the guys who's going to be like instantly like, all right, that one finished, let's get another one going right away, blah blah blah, right? And I can do that, but I have to really think and do it consciously rather than just being me. And I think that's probably more Yvonne, that's more Jalen as well. So yeah, they might be able to pick it up for for like 5 minutes or so here and there if they're really thinking about it. But you ask them, all things being equal, what's your natural state? It's probably not that.
Yeah, and another key thing is if you try and force that into them, that's one more thing that they have to consciously think about.
Exactly.
Which is distracting them from what they need to do.
Gotcha.
Anyway, let's talk about the fun stuff. Let's talk about when the attack turning up around midway through the first half and into the second half.
Look, I want to ask you guys this. How many times did you go back and rewatch Emmy's goal to figure out if it went off his head or his foot?
I mean, I assumed it went off his foot in real time. I thought it was outside, the boot sort of deal.
Yeah, it was kind of one of those lunging forward with your foot in the air and like literally kind of clipped off the top of his foot to go in, like literally just one of those carry on volleys, not like the ball's coming towards you when you volley it, but it's going towards the goal and you kind of help it on with a volley. I think is
so in real time. I really thought that he scored this with his head, and I was like, did he just fly backwards? Like, how did he do this? Like, this doesn't make sense.
but yeah, I mean, it's what we talked about before, being able to get a guy in space. That time it was Maddie out wide on the right, and you get our guys in time and space to be able to pick Emmy out. Things work well.
Yeah.
In that regard, it's the rest of the times where it's the NHL dump and chase approach that doesn't work quite as well.
And then for the second goal, I got to shout out Richard Hayes because he called it. He was like, Olex is coming on in the 75th minute, and that man came on in the 75th minute. And I'm just going to take a moment to gloat. Olex is a great super sub. And I told Rob, I might have had a beer or two in me, that whatever he's paying that man, double it. Like, double it now. He's good.
Hold on. Are you trying to say that you're the only person who thinks Olex is good at the super sub role?
I'm the first one who started the conversation. I will say that.
I don't think that was ever what the argument was there. The argument was, is he better, in a 20-minute spurt, or is he better to be using for 75, 80 minutes? Because he showed out well in North Carolina game.
He did. But look at it. Okay, what's the last? He did North Carolina full, Fort Lauderdale full,
Chattanooga where he
scored. Chattanooga scored, and we haven't won. But then look at the games that came over the sub. We've won. South Georgia.
You want me to name all the other games where he came out as a sub and we didn't win?
What other game? I was just saying the record of his sub is better than him. It's better. Olex ties everything together, but nonetheless, like he scores a very important goal. This is so
a very on-Olex goal too. Not the style that you would expect from him.
Exactly. No, yeah, the kind of goal line scramble, poke in.
Yeah, not at all. But I want to ask you guys this: like, so the set pieces that the Richmond Kickers have done, this is something that I've really looked at over the last 3 games. Like, I even went back and watched the last 3. So Richmond, like we've all talked about, they have a lack of height in the attacker spot. So what they'll try to do is have either Avon or Jalen kind of flick the ball to the back post. And in the North Carolina game, it was flicking onto the back post to get Olex one-on-one. This game, it was more of flicking it back to either make it like a scramble. And we saw it almost paid off a lot of times for Richmond. Like you had the one Emmy chance early. I keep hitting my mic. I'm sorry. The one Emmy chance in the first half, and then we had the nil, which Matt, you corrected me on. It was not a goal. In the second half, around the 69th minute, but you saw those chances. And then for Chris Cole, I want to see how you guys feel about these. So when Richmond has the ball in the final third, what is it about Chris Cole launching these balls into the 18-yard box? Because I just feel like we're just losing possession, because in the North Carolina game, that's how they got 3 breaks on us from that same play. The South Georgia game, they almost had a break on us. What is it about? What is Darren seeing from Chris Cole that he wants them to just launch this ball into the box when we're in the final third instead of just simply doing a simple throw-in?
So let me get some clarification to make sure I'm understanding your question right. Are you saying, like, you know, when
that was a lot.
When like we have a corner and the opponents clear the ball out and Cole's like the last guy back to, you know, kind of pick it up, why does he launch back in then?
Not that. So like a throw-in. I kept saying corner. I meant to say throw-in in my head. Just replace throw-in. So like we're in the final third. Chris
Cole, talking about is it like long throws that aren't all that long?
Yes.
I don't
know. I mean, you would think, like, with the team's lack of height outside of Olex.
Well, I don't think we have a lack of height.
I mean, I'm just like, no, we're not winning no headers.
That's different.
Okay.
Yeah, because I mean, you think about it. You know, Jalen, huge dude. Ani, huge dude. Victor, pretty big guy. Stanley, he's like 6'1", 6'2". You know, late in the game, you had Huron in there, big guy. Bolaños, not exactly a small dude. I mean, I've already named half the guys on the field at that point.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just one of those plays where, like, if it pays off, it's great. But since it's not, it looks like one of those things where it's like, all right, we need to do something else.
Right. I think the bigger thing is, you know, when you telegraph a long throw, not the hardest thing in the world to defend. If it's not like a Roy DeLapp, like, you know, A1 long throw.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. It just feels like it's the same thing, and there's no, like, different type of variation to it. It's kind of like Cole would get the ball, he'll throw it in, Jalen will flick it back, and it is what it is at that point.
Yeah. If we're on the topic of set pieces that annoy us, I would like to add one to the conversation.
Okay.
So I am not a short corner hater. I am currently a short corner hater in the way we're doing them. Yeah, because how on earth are you going to play a short corner and then get yourself caught offside? Because there's only one way you can do that, and that's play the ball up the field. You know, stop it. So that way the guy who took the corner initially, who's on the end line, can cross it in. We got called offside on our own corner kick. Yeah, because they screwed up that play. It should never happen.
Well, I mean,
you're saying, guys, got to pay attention.
To be devil's advocate, I mean, yeah. So basically, Elliot, yeah, you got to be paying attention. That is one of those corner kicks that is meant to throw a team off. but you need to check to see if they have a man on the post first.
Right.
So if they have a man on the post, even the player who's crossing, who's in the corner, who's setting up for the corner, who passes the ball in, the moment he touches that ball to pass it to the closest player, he's onside because there are two defenders on the posts on the line. Yeah. So he's onside. But if there is no one on the post, don't try that. Please don't.
Right. It's fine when you run it one time. When you run it for the second, third, fourth time in the game, yeah, they might catch on what you're doing.
Gotta switch it up. So, Shanir, this is probably a question better for you, Matt. Feel free to jump in on this. Why is Darren sticking with this 4-4-2 diamond? You know, what's making him want to play this formation? Because with it, it seems like we're very vulnerable on the wings, but we're able to be a little bit more creative. Like, what is making Darren want to play this formation?
To be honest with you, I don't know, because one thing that I did notice, especially in the Tormenta game, was because of the fact that we don't have too much with regards to traditional width up front. Terzaghi is kind of left in no man's land because Bolaños is going to want to drift wide. Alves is a central player, and Terzaghi is a central player. So if Terzaghi does win that ball, a ball that would come into him, he's on his own because Bolaños is wide and Alves is playing as kind of sort of like a 10. So further back. So I don't know if this formation really works well with regards to the attacking side of things. In the midfield, okay, you may have extra players in the midfield, and I think this goes hand in hand with what you were talking about Darren wanting to control the ball more and have more possession. Well, when you have four guys in the middle of the field, it's more likely that you will be able to control the possession because most possession is in the midfield. But then again, like you said, you're lacking that width. You're lacking that that protection on the wings, because then you have your fullbacks who literally kind of have to play as wing backs of sorts, because there's no one ahead of them to if the ball does go wide deep in the opponent's half, you're at least asking for the wingers to put some pressure on them to prevent them from being able to go up the line and attack the fullbacks. But if there is no one really technically supposed to be a winger, and then that pressure is coming straight into the fullbacks. So I don't know if I like this formation, really, especially with the personnel that we have. I really don't know if it really works for us. So I don't know what I think it to like you said, Elliot, I think he's trying to use this formation to control possession a little more.
He's trying to spite you, Elliot. He's trying to say, hey, all right, I'll do what you want me to do. I'll show you you're wrong.
You're right. So let's go ahead and jump into it. So this is also like our mid-season review podcast. So we'll give our review about how we feel about the team and everything. But our bold predictions to start off the year, Shanir, I'm just gonna give you flack straight up. You were hella wrong. Like wrong. To make it known, Shanir, we have not won a derby yet.
Yeah.
I know. Have not won one yet. So
refresh us on what everybody said.
All right. So Shanir bold prediction was we were gonna win every derby this year. We were not gonna lose one. Matt, you said Zaka was
Can we get a clarification? Because I remember, I took issue with the term derby. I don't remember what categorized as that. Was that just Madison, or did that include North Carolina, or what was?
So that included Greenville, North Carolina, Richmond. He included those three clubs. Right now we have one draw. No, my fault. 2 draws, 2 losses to them at this point right now. Shanir, how bad do you feel?
I'm just frustrated. I'm frustrated because if you look at the 2 losses against North Carolina FC, we literally lost.
Oh, my fault. No, 3 losses. It's 3 losses and the loss to Greenville. So, yeah.
We literally lost 2 of our derbies against the team that is at the bottom of the league, and we also gave up the most goals against the team at the bottom of the league.
Oh, we're the only reason that team's even within sight of any other team.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're the only. I think they're the only team that we've given up 4 goals against.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it's like, I don't know.
Yeah, they got 2 points from the rest of the league.
Yeah, that's about it.
Anyway, what else were we wrong about?
So, Matt, you were right about Zaka leading the team in yellow cards.
Yeah.
He does lead the team in yellow cards. I was wrong about Stanley Alves leading the team in scoring this morning. He's came close. He has 9.
Post on Wednesday.
Yeah.
I'm trying to help you out here, man.
No, he definitely did have a screamer that went off the outside of the post on Wednesday. But I think, to be fair, your prediction, Elliot, was based off if he actually got to play.
Yeah.
And I think he's played probably 2 full games, if that.
No, I mean, well, he played most of the games. He's playing more. He's playing a lot more than what he was at the start of the year. So that makes me think it might have been something injury related. But
I don't think anyone saw him playing as a 10, though.
Yeah, no. That, and I'm not gonna lie, like low key, I kind of want to see it more because he's not afraid to shoot.
Right.
He's not
afraid to shoot. Like
that's the one thing that I did like about him. And I remember last year preseason. I think he scored a couple of goals in the preseason. During the preseason in the 3 or 4 games that we were able to see.
Yeah, he had 4 or 5 in the preseason.
Yeah. So
I mean, in terms of that. Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, most of those were range shots. The one that sticks out to me the most was I'm trying to remember the team. College with the Foggy Night.
Oh, you're talking about 2 years ago against High Point, yeah.
Yes. Most of his shots were from further out. They weren't, strikers' goals of right on the goal line, 6 yards out, penalty spot out, or something like that. He was creating his chances, and that was something that was a bit unusual for a number 9, and I guess that's probably one thing that may have given Darren some pause with him. And it's like, maybe you're not a 9. So this is interesting, seeing him as a 10 in that position, like behind Terzaghi, and which it can pay off because the more attention Terzaghi gets, the more space he gets.
So the other prediction I had was that Richmond was going to have at least 2 games this year where we scored at least 4 goals. That was based off of last year under Darren, where we were winning almost every game 1-0. I came close twice. Well, actually 3 times. We scored 3 goals. We haven't cracked 4 yet. So I'm still kind of teetering with that one right now.
Yeah, we gave up 4 instead.
Shut up. Yeah. So, do you guys want to hear what the points per game table is now, or do you want to go into Darren Sawaski? I'm just gonna bypass that. All right. So before the pod, I took some time. I've worked out Darren Sawaski's record. This is also including his time as FC Tucson. So just keep in mind, listeners, his time at FC Tucson is different than what FC Tucson is now. At that time, FC Tucson was the quote-unquote 2 team for Phoenix Rising. So there was a lot of roster change, a lot of fluctuation, a lot of the lineup. So that might have skewed the record. But here's where it stands. so far, Darren Sawaski, he has coached 58 games in total USL League One. He has 20 wins, 16 draws, 22 losses, 75. His teams has scored 75 goals, has given up 82 goals, and has a -7 goal differential. Guys, when you hear those numbers, and also he's presumably better at home than he is on the road. But when you guys hear these numbers, what are some things that kind of pop in your head about Darren and his tenure in Richmond thus far?
Well, I mean, when you look at goals scored and goals against, that's a very close margin in terms of in a big picture in the grand scheme of things with that many goals. It's difficult to really gauge, and it's a bit worrying that we have a situation where we have a coach with I wouldn't say a losing record because it's just 2 more losses than wins, but you want to go for more so wins, and you want to win games. At the end of the day, as a fan of any team, you just want to win games. You want that success. You want the accolades that come along with that. Last year, when Darren first got the job and we saw what was happening, yes, COVID kind of threw a monkey wrench in what was happening, but there was more. I feel that there was more of a direction. There was more of a direction. Yes, things got chaotic with all the injuries that were popping up left and right, but I felt there was more of a direction. Even though it was an abbreviated season as well, there are a lot of caveats with that, but there was some kind of direction. I feel like this season, that direction has kind of lost its strength, and its sureness. To be honest with you, I feel there is a lot of throwing this at the wall and see if it sticks. There's a lot of formation change and let's try this and let's try that, and we're gonna do 4-4-2 diamond for a few games. So we're gonna do 3 in the back for a couple of games. We're gonna do I don't know. I don't know if it just feels that Darren is kind of running out of ideas, or because that's usually, bar a few exceptions in the history of the coaching world, the tinkering usually shows a sign of a coach running out of ideas, and I'm a little concerned about that.
So I'll push back a little bit on that. I don't think it's Darren necessarily running out of ideas. I think the formations for what we saw is more or less, like we talked about earlier, is just a result of injuries. You can only play who you can play. I think that's more of it for the formations. Now I do think maybe his substitutions could be a little bit better, or starting lineup wise, but I think formation
personnel selection, basically.
Yeah, I think you can only play who you got healthy. If you don't have any healthy wingers, you can't go out there and be like, all right, everybody go forward, have fun. I think that's a little bit, but that's the pushback I have. Yeah, Matt, anything from you, or maybe I missed it? I had to go save my wife from a bug real quick.
I have not said a word. I think Darren has shown that he can be a very good recruiter. I think he's somebody who's got a lot of contacts in the game. We're seeing that with some of these guys that he's found. I mean, how do you find Terzaghi? Well, you don't find that out without a good network, right? Because anybody who will tell you that they had heard of him before he got to Richmond is an absolute liar. So I think he's done really well on that level with some of these guys that he's been able to bring in, he's been able to find. I don't know if there's any other way to say it on the field than mixed bag at best.
Yeah.
Right. It really feels like a situation where the sum of the parts is less than the whole. Right. And the past years, especially under Lee, sometimes we see where the sum of the parts is much greater than the individual pieces, and I don't think we're seeing that right now. And really ever since that Omaha game last year where Iantley went down, the team held on to win. I think what were they, like 6-2-2 at that point, and it looked like they had a death grip on the playoff spot. It's been mediocre.
Oh man, what I would do to go back to that moment. Like,
yeah,
because that's the game. That's the game Ian got hurt. Oh man.
Another win that I was on a solo road trip for, FYI.
Are we sure there's not like, because I know Loki's out now, like the show. Are we sure there's not like a variant version of Ian Iantley we could pull from that universe that he didn't get hurt?
Yeah, there is a variant. His name's Connor. He plays in Tampa Bay right now.
Great. Do whatever you got to do. Bring him there now. But yeah, I mean, I want to ask you guys this as a teacher. I love grades. What do you feel like is your grade of this team thus far? Because based on our preseason predictions, all of us had this team in the playoffs. Now, we all differed on whether or not we were going to finish in there. Once again, horrible. Like, I might have to stop you from doing preseason predictions because Shanair had this team finishing first. Matt, you were more in the range of second to third, second to fourth. That's my fault. I was like home playoff game. That's the goal. I don't care if it's second through fourth. It just got to be a home playoff game. But based on that, where do you guys feel about this team, like grade-wise? What grade would you
get? I get C-.
I was gonna go with that too.
Yeah, I mean, they're not well, minus Wednesday. They're not bad, right? But how many games have you left watching this year where you felt really good after it? Opening day, New England. Any other ones? Maybe Tormenta won.
But I see. This is the thing. It was never. I agree with you. I go with the C-. With that, I'm kind of leaning towards D+, C-, kind of for me. But that's just based on every game this year. I haven't walked away with that. We were the better team. We were the most convincing team. It didn't feel like I haven't seen a solid performance out of the squad yet. Because I think even like in the South Georgia game, that game got left really, really late. It took Olex, super sub, quote unquote, to come on and turn the tide of that game. The North Texas game, you were down 2 goals and you flipped that on his head. But I mean, like you said, you've had solid performances. You've gotten, points where you weren't expecting to get any. Out of a Union Omaha, the South Georgia game on Saturday. But then we've also seen the really bad performances of this squad where everything it looks like no one knows how to play soccer, such as the North Carolina game or the Chattanooga game where we got pinned in our own half for the first 45 minutes. Though I think there's time to grow and get better. Yes, of course. There's another half of the season left. There's 14 games left. There's things of which upon this team can improve. But right now my grade stands like C- right now.
Yeah, and I think the reason I keep him at C- is let's even just say you flip that North Carolina home game, that 0-0 game. Say you flip that into a win. Team's in a playoff spot right now. They'd be in 5th, 1 point out of 4th with games in hand, and only and within clear sight of 3rd at that point too. So it's not like they're dead and buried by any means, but I think it's just that, like I think you were saying too, is that feeling of underwhelming.
Yeah, and this is the thing. Like I know everyone mostly had positive feelings after the 2-2 draw on a Saturday. Me, on the other hand, I was just kind of just like, a game like that, I would feel better if, one, it wasn't on the rear end of a 4-0 shellacking, but if that 2-2 draw happens after a win, you feel different about it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it just feels negative in that sense. But one last thing before we wrap up, guys. Well, two last things. 14 games left. How do you think the Kickers finish out the year? And what is your midseason bold prediction for this team? Shanir, let's go on and start with you, my man.
To be honest with you, it's hard to call. There's been a lot of changes, a lot of switching things around to the point where, like I said, there's not really much direction. So it's really hard to tell where this team is going to go from here. Will they improve? Will they plateau? Will they dip? Maybe that come from behind draw could wake some players up and light a fire under them and get them rolling. But to be honest with you, I do see us maybe continuing a lot of the same.
Hop yourself off that fence. Pick a side, man.
No, I'm saying the inconsistency. That's the word I was looking for. The inconsistency that we've seen so far. It pains me to say it, but I feel that it's going to continue that way, and which kind of throws a monkey wrench in terms of trying to decide what's going to happen. But I think that we may, depending on the form of other teams, we may be able to scrape into the playoffs, because we need to remember that right now Tormenta are in fourth and we have 3 games in hand on them, and we are 3 points behind them. This table is pretty tight with the exception of North Carolina of sorts. Even them, they're still technically within reach, but there is possibility for us to make the playoffs. I think one prediction is we will be able to make the playoffs. However, to put a caveat on that all depends on what you said, Elliot, on how many games Terzaghi is focused.
So just to quickly clear that point about Terzaghi being focused, just look at how that team reacted after Emiliano got elbowed in the face of North Carolina, how everything just went downhill south. And then South Georgia, where Millie was clearly locked in and came back. Did you give us your bold prediction? Your bold prediction is that we're going to make the playoffs based on Terzaghi? Is that it?
Yeah, depending on if Terzaghi stays focused. Okay. How many games he stays focused for.
All right. And Matt, you already did yours? Or did I miss it?
No, Shanir went first, man. You called him out to go first.
Oh, God, that's right. I'm bad at this. I'm sorry. All right, Matt, your turn.
All right, so where do I see this season going? All right, thankfully, there hasn't been real overwhelming cascade of quality in the league. Yeah, this year, Omaha seems pretty good, pretty solid. Chattanooga seems pretty consistently good, pretty solid. Everybody else has varying levels of disaster to them. I mean, even Greenville is trying their hardest to come back to the pack right now. So it's going to be a complete mixed bag in there. I wish I could believe in these guys, but they've shown me nothing over the last 2 or 3 months to give me a reason to believe in them right now. So I'm at a real struggle between head and heart. Heart is saying, all right, they're going to turn it around. They're going to piece it together, and talent will win the day, and they'll be able to get into the playoffs. Head is telling me, all right, we got at Omaha coming. We got a game home against Chattanooga, which never goes well for us. We got a trip to Greenville coming. We got 3 with Madison, coming. We got at North Texas, which has never gone well, for us, coming. So there's going to be an uphill battle on that end. So I'm trying to, fight between, those two. I mean, I hate to say this. It would not stun me if this comes down to the last day of the season, late night USL After Dark at Tucson, where the team needs to, win to get in. I don't know if I can pull the trigger and say they'll be able to win it. I don't know if I can do it. I want to, but I don't know if I can.
I'm really going to hate it if it comes down to Tucson. Just like how I did in Chattanooga last year, I'm really going to hate it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, but would you be surprised at all if that's the way it plays out?
No.
The way this season is going, not just for the Kickers, but for everyone. No, it almost feels like every team in USL League One is off their kilter.
Outside of Union Omaha, Red Wolves, everyone else is been weird dips.
Yeah, everyone else has been performing below expectation. Probably, actually, no, with the exception also of New England Revolution 2. I think they have performed, to be honest with you, honestly, think at the beginning of the season, where would you have ranked New England Revolution 2?
Playoff team.
That was Matt had to finish dead last. Well, my fault. That wasn't you.
No, I did not.
I'm thinking about Kyle. I'm getting the show stuff. Kyle had them finish dead last. Matt had them as a playoff team. That's right.
I was going to say,
yeah, and that's the thing. A lot of people felt, especially with the way they performed last year, they felt, this New England team, they're basically, the kids that are fresh out of the academy for New England Revolution, not good enough to play for the MLS team, and just, giving them something to do. So I think they have exceeded expectation a little bit, but other than that, everyone else has kind of been floundering.
I mean, they're not necessarily good. Let's be clear about that.
Exactly.
Matt, are you first, or are you still got something else you want to put in?
I'm supposed to give a bold prediction, aren't I?
Yeah.
Let's see here. I'm trying to think what would actually be bold at this point. All right, I'll throw it out here. We're going to see Austin Causey, get some minutes by the end of the year.
Ooh, I like that. Sidebar real quick. What happened to Avisa? Because ever since Fort Lauderdale, we have not seen that boy. I don't know if he's hurt or what, but
I assume he's hurt.
Yeah. Haven't seen him.
Everybody else got hurt, so why not him?
I mean, I know that sounds messed up, but I kind of hope so. Because if it's not the case, then
they would have put out a press release if he was not with the team anymore.
Yeah, that's true.
True.
All right. So my prediction for the last 14 games of the year. I'm kind of with you, Matt. I'm kind of like head and heart, because if I wasn't a Kickers fan, I would not put money in this team being in the playoffs. But then my heart is kind of just like how fluky USL League One's been, how unstable other teams been, how close and jumbled up the rest of the table is, excluding Greenville, Red Bulls, and Union Omaha. Like you said, like Sinead, you brought up the point. Like if Richmond goes out here and wins the 3 games, like we're in third place. It is weird. It is very weird, and this season is not going to get settled till probably September. So right now, I'm going with, I think we get into the playoffs, but I think it comes down to the last 3 games. Like I think we get in by the skin of our teeth. I don't think it's an easy thing, but we're in, and we'll go from there.
So
my bowl, what's up?
Just to interject on your last 3 games, that would be one hell of a way to get in. Home Madison, Omaha, at Tucson.
Oh, yeah. I mean, to be honest with you, anything can happen, because we are in 9th place and we're 9 points off of first.
Look,
I'm not even thinking about first.
I know.
I know we're not thinking about first, but just that's how crazy this table is. 10th place is 10 points off of first place. That it's seriously at this point is who's messing up the least is who's on top. And it's not even a question of who's performing well. I just feel this season has been kind of out of kilter and completely whacked.
But no, I get that point in there about like how like last year it was Greenville running away and no one's catching them.
Exactly.
But this year it's kind of just like you're going to run, maybe something happen. So my bold prediction is this: it's going to be linked together. So in order for Richmond to get into the playoffs, Darren Sawaski's away record right now is 1 win, 2 draws, 4 losses. I think he flips that. I think he gets 4 wins, has 2 draws, 1 loss for the away record. I think he flips it. I think that's the way how we get into the playoffs.
You want to call your shot on which ones we're winning?
Whoo!
I'll read them all for you.
Okay, hold on.
All right. Here, I got it for you. I got it up.
All right.
So you got at Toronto.
Okay.
Got at Greenville.
Uh-huh.
At Madison.
Okay.
At New England.
Uh-huh.
At North Texas.
Uh-huh.
At Omaha. At Tucson.
Okay.
All right.
So I think I take Toronto as a win.
Okay.
I take Revs as a win. I take SC Tucson as a win.
Say it. You know you want it.
I take Madison as a win. I'll take
there you
Madison.
go.
Yeah.
I'll take Madison. I think Union Omaha is a loss. What
about North Texas?
I think North Texas we can get. Because based on how FC Dallas is playing right now, and I'm kind of looking at how FC Dallas is playing, they're not really good. I don't think they're going to be sending out a lot of players at that point of the year because they're going to be pretty much just like, all right, we're out of the playoffs. Let's just play the kids. And I think they're going to send more people up than sending people down because it's not like you got a playoff push at that point. So I think you can get a draw there, and that leaves me with Greenville. I think that's a draw. Historically, Greenville has been a place for a draw for us. Neither team has been historically better than the other, even including the first game this year. Like, you know, that game was a draw, so I think that's there.
Dallas only 6 points off. You get our good friend Pepe, staying on fire like he had his hat trick this weekend. They could MLS. You can show up the table real fast.
I got them flaming out a lot more quicker than what he is than anything else. But yeah, that's my. I think in order for this team to get into the playoffs, I think Darren has to improve that away record. Because historically on the road, he's won only 3 games. That was last year, the year before that. So I got him getting 1 more than that normally, and that's 4. So that's my guess.
All right.
Yeah. I know. That's my bold prediction. Anything else out of you guys before we wrap up? I know it's been a tough week, but maybe this podcast can lift up the Red Army. Who knows?
Lift up.
So y'all had a good turnout, doing stuff for the community this weekend, right?
Yes, we did. So thanks for that, Matt. Because I'm not the one that usually talks about this stuff. So this past Saturday, we did a community service event with #lunchbag, Feed the Streets RVA, and we made over 500 lunches, delivered over 10 cases of water, 300 plus masks to various homeless shelters in the community. So that was a great turnout. If you want to see the picture of that, you can go check us out on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, they're all on there. So that was a really cool event for us to do. It was something different that the Red Army hasn't done in a while, but it was great to, get back in the field of community service and helping people out.
Absolutely. I think there's, wouldn't be surprised if there's other events, getting planned, for the future. So, even if you're not technically a member, of the group, you don't have to be to join in. We'll make sure that, we get the word out outside of just the group page too.
Yeah, most definitely. If you have any ideas for community service events, feel to hit us up and let us know, and we'll get you in contact with the right people that can help you. More likely, that probably be me. Uh, yeah, I'm trying to figure out how to end this now. Shanir, anything for you, buddy, before we wrap up?
I'm just looking ahead at next week with Tucson, or next game. Our next game against Tucson, it's at home.
So you're taking the Bill Belichick approach on to Tucson,
huh? No. No, Tucson's coming here. But to be honest with you, if we look at the past couple of years, Tucson has not really had a lot of fun playing away against us. So I think we have an opportunity to kind of bounce back with this game. Maybe get ourselves back on the winning side of things. Ivan will be back. Will he be back for that game, or it was just one match, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So so Ivan should be back. Hopefully we'll be able to have an established back line together. And if that's the case, there's a real chance that we can take it to Tucson and hopefully get 3 points at home.
Anything else out of you, Matt, before we wrap up, my good man?
No, I mean, PSA, if you've never been to Statesboro, don't bother. Ain't much there. You're close, not too far from Savannah. Go to Savannah instead.
Sound like you regret it. I thought we almost made it the entire part without my dog barking, but we did not. Last thing out of me, I just want to say this: no matter how frustrated you are with the team, no matter how annoyed you are with how things are going, that does not give any of us, and I'm including us in there, not saying we did it, but just including us in there as well, to call players, staff, or other fans out of their name. Rivercity 93, we make it pretty known that my dog's agreeing with me, that we are against racism, homophobia, transphobia, all that stuff. Like, it's not cool. It's not worth it. If you're that pissed off about a game, that annoyed about a game, don't even bother getting on social media. It's not even worth it. So that's my little PSA. Yeah. But with that being said, guys, as always, you can follow the show on Twitter and Instagram and on Facebook at Rivercity93 and also on YouTube, where we'll put the video version of this so you can see our beautiful faces outside of Shanir, because this is the only way his audio works.
Yeah. I'll figure something out, though. I'll figure something out to get my camera. Probably get a camera or something.
Yeah.
Need to renegotiate my deal. I thought I was on an audio only deal here.
But yeah, guys, as always, we want to say thank you guys for taking the time out of your day to listen to the show. And as always, we'll holler at you later. Talk to you guys later.